Hey everybody, welcome back to From Under the Rug, the channel that shows you new side to those you may have had respect for. Today we're taking a look at a YouTuber who has been on a downward spiral for quite a long time, and based on some recent events will likely not be changing it soon. Tyler Millard, also known as Mumkey Jones on YouTube, has had quite a troubling amount of things happen around him in his YouTube career, and while his actions aren't necessarily the illegal ones that I might be discussing later on today, it's still a problematic situation for everyone involved, and I'll be explaining all of the major parts to the stories here. To start off, I'll be explaining who he is so people can see his story before everything bad had happened. Not to defend him by any means, but to see how it can change him the way it did. Tyler made his YouTube account on March 15, 2016, and for a few years made notable videos such as his anime reviews of various media and his coverage on the shooter Elliot Rogers. In my opinion, he was a fairly good YouTuber even with his darker sense of humor and gained quite the following. Not too much bad happened that I'll be covering on here to start off with, but one of the most notable events was on December 11th of 2018. His channels were deleted, though videos still can be viewed on his other websites that haven't been shut down. This was a major point in a long chain of events that has still been going as of writing. I won't be covering things like him being removed from a few podcasts, as those just aren't really relevant to what's been happening now. The important thing that you need to know is this is the main thing that had started his depression, and it's not going to be slowing down soon, unfortunately. One of his prior friends, Brandon, whom he had made several videos with beforehand, was arrested for abusing his now ex-girlfriend. Tyler was very supportive of her, attempting to be there for her, but this didn't work out as she wasn't emotionally stable, which is understandable given her situation. He did try to do the right thing by cutting him off and helping her in whatever way he could, but the fact that one of his friends was abusing another of his friends only drove him further. This is clearly not his fault, as it's not him doing the abusing, so please don't misunderstand me as saying this is somehow him at fault for this part. The next part, however, is where he's going to have to take some responsibility. Up until about early 2019, he was dating another YouTuber named Sheepover. He admitted at the 520 mark in the video My Depression Chamber that he had cheated on her, and had later planned on killing himself after Avengers Endgame was released. This is likely the worst part of what he specifically has done, as trying to be with two people at once and ending his life, causing emotional pain to everyone around him, to avoid the consequences of him cheating is a horrible thing to do, to say the least. Obviously, he didn't entirely go through with that plan, as he is still alive now, but him being unfaithful is enough for many people to be upset at him. To prove that he did indeed do the exact plan I had just described, and that I didn't just make it all up, it is said specifically by him at the 3703 mark in the video The State of Affairs he's made recently. At the 4210 mark of the State of Affairs video, he starts talking about forgiveness as if people should forgive him if they care about them even if they do bad things. To an extent, I believe that this is true. I think that also maybe this would be a little bit more believable if he wasn't still doing anything bad. He is still dating the one he was cheating with. After showing so much disrespect by him cheating on Sheepover, it's not right to act like him continuing to be the one he cheated on with is a perfectly okay action, and this should be disregarded by those that are around him. In fact, he disregards quite a few things other people say, as in the same video, he is saying he's on medication that makes it so he doesn't care about most things people say about him, no matter how extreme, positively or negatively, they might have to say about him. There isn't much left I have to go on for Tyler at the moment, but there is still more to the story. He had cheated on Sheepover with someone named Lou. Now, who is she exactly, and why should I talk about her? Well, she is problematic in a whole other way that makes every part of this story worse. There are many things said about her and things that she has also said that, if all are true, would be horrible beyond most of what I've already talked about on here, and I cannot exactly confirm some of it here. In regards to her, she has a page on DeviantArt that has some disturbing images of animals drawn in ways that I'd really rather not describe, and has also been said to have groomed several minors. There are also many shorter important claims about both of them in the finer details that had occurred between him being unfaithful, such as claiming he would kill himself if she got pregnant during one of their meetups. I cannot be certain on some of the claims being said, as most of them are said as things that would have happened in conversations and only have her word on it to start with. Tyler did say most of what was said in the MrMeatMan video that you would have heard about, was true, though he didn't specify every specific claim here, so it is a little difficult to know exactly how much of the relationship that was said is true based on the video, but he did say the majority at the very least was true. This is really difficult for me to make a solid claim on, as he confirms most of what Lou says that was heard in the video, but the part about grooming minors is something that she says isn't exactly how it's said, so because they're not being specific at all here, it's very tricky for me to say what things 100% happened, and for the more extreme accusations, I couldn't really show to begin with due to their nature. That's why it's so difficult for me to say something without having the risk of falsely claiming something of them by accident. One last part before we end things, Lou and Tyler are engaged now. Admittedly, I've never cheated on someone who draws inappropriate images of animals online, claimed I'd kill myself if they accidentally got pregnant, and continue to be with them after they've been said to have done illegal sexual actions with a 15-year-old, but I don't think becoming engaged to them is a particularly good idea, and I would recommend my viewers to not do the same thing. So what exactly have we all learned from this? Well, that cheating is wrong, abusing is even more wrong, the typical messages I try to say here, but there is more. Tyler had a successful YouTube channel, but when things started to go wrong that were outside of his control, he began to do things wrong that were in his control. He wasn't the one who took down his channel, and he did not abuse his girlfriend, but he did cheat on her, and he did continue to be with someone who no reasonable person should be with. Again, I am not saying this as an excuse to what he did, merely as an explanation for how someone can go downhill and be at the worst point of their life. He is feeling better, but his medication prohibits him from feeling as much emotion as he did, and he's still with someone who helped ruin what good he did have at the time. He's not out of the negativity he has been a part of for a while, and won't until he fully changes his situation as much as he is able to do. If he happens to be watching, I'm not going to say that I know him better than he does, but I do know that what he's doing is not the right thing. As of making this video, he's still not in a good place, and I can't support him for what he's been doing, but I still don't exactly think he's too far gone either. I know that he can still make the right decision. It's not going to take everything back that's been done, but it will at least help him in the long run. The last thing, like normal, are my sources for everything. There's the wiki page that helped with basic information like the date set at the start, the MrMeatMan video for most of the parts regarding Lou and Tyler's involvement with each other, videos made by Tyler being the Depression Chamber, State of Affairs, and a re-upload of Brendan's arrest video. In addition, there are 2 Twitter posts, one of Lou's posts regarding their engagement, and Tyler's initial reaction to MrMeatMan's video. That's all for today's video. If there's anything I could improve on, or if there are any other topics you'd like me to discuss, please let me know in the comments below, and thank you for watching.